So yes, I have a doctorate. I am not in academia. So this is not going to be your normal public lecture. So I'm not going to sit here and read a lecture. I'm just going to make it interactive. I am seeing there are about 633 participants here, and hopefully some more online using YouTube and LinkedIn, because I saw somebody on LinkedIn. So I'd love to be able to interact with you, know who you are. And this is a conversation more than just a lecture, because digital transformation is participatory, it's human-centered, and it is customer-centric. And that is the messaging I want to pass today. So that is about me, and I don't like talking about myself. So many people ask how we spell color. We have had Kuhala, we've had color, we've had all manner of things. So we are called color, but in color, which means to provoke, to begin, to start, to initiate in Zulu. And our goal is to catalyze Africa's digital future. We are an amazing group of problem solvers, and our goal is to be able to enable Kenya and Africa lead in the digital in the digital transformation and the digital economy space. It is the only frontier industry that is remaining in the world. So as I mentioned, the talk was already spoken about. It is, before we speak about anything, we need to set context. What is it? When did this digital transformation start? What is the implication on our economy? What is the implication on KRA? And what are some of the things that KRA needs to do to make sure that they're not being left behind? And that is the goal of this talk. But before we start, I want all of you to get out your phones or your second device. We know all of you have one because the data tells us so. And I want you to go to menti.com. And I want you to enter the code. I need to do 43234801. Are we all there? Hopefully. And I have a couple of quizzes I want you to do. First of all, I want to know, where are you connecting from? If you can just help me understand where you're connecting from, the moment you start answering, everybody will start seeing it. Okay, nice. I'm waiting for 659.60 now. Oh, wow. All right, I want us to get to at least 150 so I can continue. Still waiting. Oh, wow, you have somebody from London. Welcome, welcome. Oh, Zimbabwe, nice. Awesome. So we are hitting our 100 mark. We can continue because I'll see these results much later. So, and I want also to know, with all of us connecting from wherever we are, and I wanted to just show you just the diversity of people connecting. We are in Nairobi, we are in Zanzibar at the beach, we are in Kikuyu, we are in Kitui, we are in Nyeri. It means that we are connecting. We are a global village. The next thing I want you to do for me is, how did you learn about the Tax Summit? waiting for us to get to 100, and then I will continue. Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll come back to this. Sorry, that's so that I will come back to those answers much later, but I wanted to see, where are you from and how are you connecting online? And to do that, we need to take a step back. I want to take you down memory lane. And as we are preparing for this, it hit me, it's been 25 years. So I'm taking you 25 years back to 1998. So the first significant, I'm not sure. Okay, sorry. The most significant piece of registration that happened for Kenya's digital economy and digital transformation is in 1998, when the then Kenya Communications Act got restructured. It enabled the split between Kenya Teleposta with Telcom. It was called Kenya Posta and Kenya Telecommunication Company. And this gave way to our very first, this should have been my next question, is our very first mobile operator. And many of us actually think it's Safaricom. Actually, it is Kcell. Kcell launched first, and Safaricom launched much later in October 2000. And then a few things have happened in between there. The birth of mobile money, yeah? So April 2007, M-Pesa actually happened. And this has changed how we do and think about it. I mean, like when you see that growth in 26.7% in 2006 to 83.7% in 2022, you can see that every single adult in Kenya actually does use M-Pesa, and the children, because M-Pesa did launch something. And 2007 to 2009 was some seminal years in Kenya, because we had the Kenya ICT Board being launched, which was the implementation arm of the Ministry of ICT. But that's when we started being called Silicon Savannah, with iHub being there. But how did this all happen? It's the arrival of the undersea cable. Teams changed our lives completely. I always make jokes that my first job was pulling cables and doing dial-ups. What Teams came to do was nothing short of a miracle for our economy. And I'm going to demonstrate that. Then these are just a few numbers. So we made sure that we put in KRA in there, and the video that was there just before this was talking about e-Teams and e-filing. So we tried making sure that we are representing this. But the other big seminal thing that happened is APIs, and M-Pesa APIs and AVR, the APIs that enabled acceleration of access to financial services, which means that Kenya is one of the most financial service positive countries in the world, not just in Africa. We want to measure ourselves globally, not just in Africa. And the last 3 years, we've seen amazing trajectory in our digital economy. We've seen Microsoft Development Center in Kenya showing that people have we have credibility in our software engineers and our talent. And just this year alone, we have Google Development Center, and just last week we had Amazon Web Services launching in Kenya. So we are doing well as a digital economy. But how does this actually show up in our daily life? This is how much internet we use. In 2023, 17.86 million users in Kenya are using the internet. To put that in context is that we are a population of 50 million Kenyans, 51 million, let's throw in a one in there. And let's say the top 25% are over the age of 65, and the top 40% are under the age of 18. So everybody here in the middle should be using the internet. Our internet penetration, mobile phone subscription penetration is more than 100%. So we are doing well as a country. We are growing very, very well. It means that our economy is growing. But this slide is my favorite one. Kenyans are the top per capita users of social media in the world. So mobile, for example, WhatsApp has become our default SMS platform, communication platform in general, because even stopped using GSM to call people. And TikTok we are the largest per capita user of TikTok in the world. It means that not only do we have connectivity, but we are using it. And the question is, how are we using social media? We are using social media for trade, for communication, to get work, to do work. We are doing all this to actually grow our economy. How does this translate? Globally, we know that the digital transformation is growing. It's set to be at 2.3 trillion by 2032, which means that's huge. But comparatively, we wanted to compare ourselves with comparative countries, both in the region and other countries. So picked Rwanda in Kenya, in Africa. Rwanda is growing double-digit growth because of the digital economy. Singapore is a leader because of policy changes and their focus in technology. But my favorite is Colombia. Colombia is very much like Kenya, and it's in Latin America. They have been known as a splinter because they've grown tremendously because they've focused on the digital economy. And we have others to compare. What about Kenya? The digital economy has contributed 7.2% to the GDP in 2022 to 2021, in 2020-21. And these numbers are going to change because what COVID did for us is something a friend calls COVID-driven digital transformation. Because when we started doing this work in 2020 as Scala, when we'll talk about digital transformation to people, they'll say, what is that? It's a good to have. In 2021, 2022, and now people know that they must transform or they will perish. So what is digital transformation? That is the question we are asking ourselves. What is digital transformation, and what does that mean for us and for KRA? So for me to be able to talk about digital transformation in full, I have to distinguish it between digitalization, and digital transformation, because we do mix up these terms, especially at an organizational level. Yeah. So digitalization is doing the same things differently. So it's analog to digital. Yeah. It's improving tech efficiency. So it's basically what you've always been doing, and then you're doing digital. So for example, I'll give you an example that we all know. You used to go to the bank and fill in documents, and then you get like your account opened, or you get a withdrawal, or change your password or something. Right now, what happens to many banks? They do the exact same thing, only they send you the forms on email. So I don't have to go to the bank. They send me the exact same forms on email. I decide to print it or fill in on my phone or my computer, and then email them back. The back end processes have not changed because those forms have not changed. But that the email part is efficient for me because I don't have to walk to the bank. Digitalization is where things now gets exciting. Changing existing business models and deliver digital experiences for digitally savvy customers. My favorite here is the Kenyan Law Court. So Kenyan courts were running digitized all their processes, so all their documentation, and they digitized those ones. But then they started digitizing their processes. I remember being told, oh, you know, these mentions on all of these things were being done. They are not being done online. The cases are being done online, listening online, and the decision is being made online. And in fact, not in Kenya, but in the US, some judges are using ChatGPT to come to those decisions, to help them make those decisions. So it is just changing what we've been doing, but using digital. It's a step change. It's not its efficiency, it's actually step change. Digital transformation, on the other term, is radical rethinking of how an organization uses technology, their people, their process, to radically change business performance and customer experience. Here, the key word is change business performance, and customer experience. The other one is about business efficiency, making my work easy and my life easy. It's never about the customer. And why are we focusing on the customer? We're focusing the customer because the customer has changed. As I showed you on the numbers, Kenya's mobile phone penetration is above 100%. Many adults are actually using the internet in one form or the other. So we are already there and we are working. So what are the characteristics of digital transformation, especially in a tax administration? So we had a look at both KRA and other tax administrations across the continent, the country, the globe, to see what makes it a digital transformation. Number one, it has to be customer-centric. So there has to be enough touch points. The touch points have to be delightful. The process have to be clear. They have to be accessible both online and offline. Digital transformation is not just about technology. It's about the holistic experience to the customer. Number two, and I put, the way they tell you when you're giving feedback, you have to give a sandwich method. This is my sandwich method, because this is usually a sticky point, not just to KRA, but many of the organizations that we work with, is staff have to be tech aware. We are not saying you have to be tech savvy. We're not asking you to write code or understand AI. We need you to understand that technology is actually changing the way your customers view and use your services. So there's a clear need for ongoing skilling, upskilling, reskilling to increase efficiency. And yes, at some time, there's need to inject new blood into the organization to bring everybody up to speed. It's not always fun and dandy, but nothing in life is. And finally, the use of technology and data. I saw in the previous video somebody talking about e-Teams, and we'll come to that. But yes, technology and data adoption in ensuring that this is happening. So it's not just about optimizing, it's changing how data and technology is actually being used in the organization. And it is using and facilitating for that technology use to be used at scale, not by just a small department, the IT people. It's by everyone being able to use it well, to be able to deliver that delightful experience for your customer and being customer-centric. It's defining who is your customer and then moving to making sure that you're delivering well for them. And the question is, as somebody in my team was asking, who is KRA's customer? And that is a question that we are going to be asking you soon. So we are going to go back to Mentimeter and we are going to ask the next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm hoping the board members or the Director General is not going to switch off Zoom. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate KRA's customer centricity? Where the customer is the Republic of Kenya, not the government, the citizens. I'm waiting for us to get to 100. Oh, we are already 832, so I'm waiting for us to get to 200. Then we can close it. So the instruction is very simple for those of us who joined late. On your second device, or you're on a different tab on your computer, go to menti.com, enter the code 43234801. And then you will see this question and just answer. And this is a simple one because you just need to do a slider. We wanted to make sure that it's very clear and easy for anyone to use. I'm waiting for a few more of you. or you can use the QR code on your screen. You can just, if you have your phone, just use the QR to connect. All right. We're at 150. So I will leave this to the team, the management team, and the customer. But if you were to rate this as an NPS score, we have some work to do. I wanted us to get to 100 and perfect, because that means that most of the people have actually submitted the people who've signed up is about 180. And I wanted to see, okay, everybody seems to be going in there. It seems it's between 5.4. 5.4 seems to be the number that we are going to sit on at the moment. Okay, thank you very much for your engagement. Next up, I still have one other question. According to you, this is public, all the 857 of you and 190 who've signed up, please continue signing up. Tech proficiency of KRA. Awesome. Thank you so much for your engagement. I love this. It feels like I'm not talking to my screen. Thank you so much. We are getting there. I love the rapid feedback. Awesome. And thank you for all the likes for the questions. It can show that you're engaging on the questions, and awesome. So I think the average is averaging at 5.7. So coming back to my, coming back to here, why do we need to be customer-centric? And what is customer centricity? I think we've mentioned the need for a delightful user interaction. I remember when we were doing this conversation with somebody says every time June gets around here, everybody wants to cry. They're looking for somebody to help them with their taxes. It is not seamless and it's painful. That was the feedback that we got from many of the people that we were speaking to. So customer centricity about giving a delightful user interaction. It's not just about experience, it's interaction at each of the touch points. And those are both physical and virtual and digital. So remember, digital transformation is not just about having tech, it's about the full wholesome experience that somebody has while interacting with your products. A clear understanding of policies, a clear understanding of the tax system and what compliance actually mean. And this can be done quite easily leveraging things like chatbot and automating campaigns that ensure that this information is there. I loved the idea of the podcast that was running before, Bonga Tax. I think that's what it's called, yeah. I love that because it's breaking down tax in a very simple way. But remember, as I have told many of the organizations that are coming, the people who are becoming decision maker and are becoming taxpayers, they are your later aged millennials, not us, our older millennials, but also very elder Gen Zs. They have the concentration span of exactly an Instagram reel. So you have to make sure your content is an Instagram reel or a TikTok video that they can quickly consume and take it away. How are you informing them? There has to be effective communication where they are. So it was very interesting. And now coming back to the data I've been collecting throughout is that many of the people here knew about this information from email, which means that a big swath of taxpayers who would love to be part of this process were missed out. Why? Because we sent emails and they never read emails. How do we communicate better? So we looked at Madagascar, who are doing like WhatsApp and WhatsApp bots to actually send messaging, very, very interactive and very poppy messages. And I have to be honest, like the campaign around Valentine's was awesome, but how do you keep that momentum? Our biggest inspiration on many things is usually Singapore. And in this case, the Inland Revenue Authority uses automated systems and knowledge management tools. And knowledge management tools, this is basically information giving, is a way of being able to connect with your customer, which means the citizen right now, and be able to connect and provide them information as they need it. It's easy to navigate. It's super, super user-friendly. It makes talking to KRA fun and exciting, and it is not a drab and laborious for people. So that is what customer centricity is you must put your customer at the center. You must understand who they are in terms of their age, their persona. We've done this before. Age, their persona, who they are, where do they connect? Where can you find them? And what language are they using so that you can connect them in their language? When you put big policy documents, when you put hard to use technology and user experience, you're losing people, even people who might be willing to be paying taxes or using any of your other services. Second is something I want to now go into is the tech and data part. There's a minimum standards of achieving a tax digitalization process. And we have digital registration. We all have our KRA PIN. E-filing, which happens every June or December, depending on if you're a company or a human being. E-payments, e-invoicing, and e-accounting. Each of these angles are important for us to say we have ticked the boxes and we have achieved a tax digital transformation in organizations and in KRA. So my next question, going back to our question, is, first of all, oh, wow, okay. So how would you rate KRA's use of technology and data to fulfill its mandate? Again, for those of you who are joining, because now we're at 900, you go to your second device or a new tab on your computer, you enter menti.com, and then you enter the code 43234801, and then you answer the question. All right, we are 200 on this platform. I want to see us at least at 150, then we can continue. Thank you for engaging. So this is a slider. You just go to where you think is happening. All right. And we're at 150. Awesome. And then my next question, which is not directed to the staff of KRA, but you can answer for me to see engagement, is on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the experience with the following services? Because this is where the rubber meets the road. Awesome. You're almost there. All right. Awesome. So it seems we are really doing well when it comes to doing PIN registration and paying with good reason. But invoice accounting is quite painful, I see, for many people. And you can continue responding as I continue with the presentation. I'd love to see an exhaust. This one was a big one for us because it gives you a good feedback on the current products. This is how we compare to the rest of the world. We are actually doing pretty well when it comes to putting this in place. But by talking to people, we realize many people who need to know, don't know, or not aware of some of these services. You have to get like a proper tax expert to walk you through some of these things. Are we being customer-centric? Are we being able to provide the best services to our customer as KRA? And how do we do this? So this is just a comparison of like what Rwanda has done, and I'll just go a little bit deeper into that. So sorry, this I've already covered. So Rwanda's tax filing transformation started in 2015. And they made mandatory e-filing and e-payment like every other jurisdiction. But the big change is when there was a huge surge in numbers, almost double. Yeah, from 144 to 242. That's an increase by 100,000. But more interesting is the efficiency. I loved this. It's the amount of time it took you to file returns moved from 45 hours to 5 hours. That is more than 90% saving on time. And finally, it's just the amount of revenue that was collected, more than near a 50% increase in VAT collection. So it shows that there is actually need to do this and doing it well with the user in mind, with the customer in mind. The next one is the SARS. They increased the convenience of being able to just pay taxes to everybody. And they use this by incorporating partners. We wanted to use the word partner instead of parties. So it's using third-party partners to be able to actually do this. And it's everybody from, I know the banks are being used here and pension funds, but using people who are able to A, increase awareness of taxation, but B, being able to work a process or an outcome for somebody that works for that person. And that breaking it down to a way that people actually understand, taxation that to a place that people actually understand, and then digitizing this process such that even the third-party partners are able to do their work actually helped a lot. The number one, the one thing that happened is the customer is at the center. There's increased convenience. And of course, reduced non-compliance, yeah? And reduced cost of actually tax collection was the third one that is missing here, because they didn't have to deploy extra resources. They just used existing partners to be able to do this. And that is a combination of digital, online, and offline using partners, which is a critical thing that government institutions needs to be able to take advantage that private sector is actually doing. So we've spoken about digital transformation, we've spoken about other jurisdiction, we've spoken about what digital transformation is. But what does digital transformation mean for KRA? How do we bring this to life? And this is speaking from an outsider looking in, having spoken to your customers, and for you, your customers being the people of Kenya, is how do we make digital transformation real for the betterment of our economy and the thriving of our people? So we looked at your journey, and most of this has been covered in the previous video. So I was saying, oh, he's preempting my one slide, so I won't go into this. So we missed the latest update, which is the online one. So we've seen, I mean, KRA is really doing it's punching up above the line across the continent, as we've seen in the previous slide. But we want to ensure that we are doing it right. Being the best in the continent or being in the region is not being best in the world. So looking at other places, as we mentioned, Singapore and Colombia, is what are they doing right that people actually, nobody likes paying taxes, but people actually engaging with the tax authority. And we decided to come up, based on all our research, is develop a few simple principles that can be used in the digital transformation journey across people, tech, and processes at KRA, because those are the three things that need to transform. Simplicity. It needs to be simple, simple, simple. I don't have to go to a cyber cafe and there's a guy sitting there waiting for the 500 of us waiting to file our nil taxes. It needs to be simple and easy to use so that people are not getting high blood pressure in June or wherever your company files their taxes. It needs to be delightful. It's not exciting. Delightful means that I can be able to do the work as myself. Because this means that it's not removing dignity from me. Yeah. And dignity means that I'm able to take care of myself. If I'm a small business and I'm just making 200,000 a year or 300,000 a year, or $1 million, let me just go to $1 million. I'm making $1 million or $2 million a year. I need to be able to protect the dignity of my business and be able to have a delightful experience in engaging with KRA. It needs to be inclusive. And this is a big one. Yeah. When you look at all your products and products and processes and people, the inclusivity part is more than just saying we employ people with disability, but are people with disability able to use your products and access your products and services? Transparent. This is a big one because everybody, when it comes to money and revenue, they're always right. Are the rules transparent? Are the rates transparent? Is the procedure transparent? Is it clear such that you're not sending me to read policy 1555 that was set up in 1963? You're making it clear in a way that I'm able to understand as a taxpayer that honestly, I need to be able to that. It needs to be secure. And secure means my data needs to be protected, because any data breach or data accessed by any other party implicates on me as an individual, but even for businesses, it has a huge implication. And I know KRA has done some work on this because we were trying to do some work on top of iTax and could not do it because they have some security things. But over and above that, when you double click, when I go to your offices, am I able to sit in your staff's desk and be able to access files and tools within the organization that I shouldn't? Yeah. How accessible our offices to strangers, such that they can be able to leak or access information that they're not supposed to be accessing? Because you're always saying in data protection, the human being is the biggest risk, not necessarily the technology that you have put in place. So those are our 5 principles that we have proposed for KRA. How do we make this real is usually the question. First of all, you must be customer obsessed. You must put the customer at the center of everything that is happening, understanding them. Who are they? What do they do? Where are they in life? And are you able to partner with them in meeting your goals and mandate? Because it's that process of understanding the customer that will make your experience and your digital transformation simple and delightful. Am I able to return my taxes on my M-Pesa using USSD? My files? Am I able to go to my phone and do it? Or should I load do I need to go to a cyber cafe? Is there somebody who can speak to me in my language and I'm able to be explained to what's happening? Am I able to say, I don't have money right now, can we do this and this? And how transparent is that process? Number 2, be data-driven. KRA has the most amount of data in this country, arguably, because it understands the people of the country, it understands how they make money, where they make money, and how they use that money. So you understand very well. But how is this data being used? To A, be customer obsessed, B, to meet your mandate. Is this data, is that process transparent? Are you able to give a transparent process? Is it secure? Is my data secure? Being the other thing. And security, again, going back to, it starts with the people, not with the technology. And finally is collaborative partnerships. Are you working with other stakeholders to be able to be more efficient and effective in the tax process? And this is more than just collecting of tax and getting paid for taxes. In awareness, are you working with, and I'll pick up Wozi because I know them. Are you working with Wozi to make sure that you're connecting to the Gen Zs who are always on their socials? Are you working with like an influencer, a village influencer like a chief? There are many stakeholders that can be used in a collaborative partnership to increase that. It's about thinking outside the box. It's being fully inclusive and stepping out to, I'm going to sit in Times Tower or in Samia and do my work. It's about saying, who is my customer? How do I meet them halfway or even 75% way? Because we need to convince them that we are partnering for the greater good of our country. Paying tax is good for our country. I'm one of those people who say that, and I try as much as possible to be compliant. Paying tax is good for our country. But how do you convince people who are thinking you're just going after their bottom line? You have to be able to be inclusive and in collaboration with people in their language where they are, and in a manner that does not feel combative and pushing them away. So I've gone through this, is being customer, what does customer obsessed? And I want to just give an example of the UK government did a brilliant job, is that they broke down complexity in tax payment, removing any form of confusion in terms of errors and anything, which saw an increase in their, in their collection, but also reduced loss in their loss for their money, which is a good thing. So this idea of inclusivity and breaking complexity actually has an upward pull for KRA. Data-driven. I've overemphasized on this. It is the biggest one. So the best example is the US government, and they use data analytics to identify tax refunds, streamline the process, and reduce the paperwork and phone calls. And I know we love phone calls. In Kenya, especially love phone calls and paperwork. So they use data to just say who actually at the end, when I'm filing, and I always say this, I have refunds for my personal taxes from since I started filing taxes because of the different insurances you have. But the process of getting that refund is painful, so nobody actually does it. What if you did it automatically? I've filed my tax. I've been told KRA owes you 50,000 shillings. What if in the moment I file and that is streamlined, I get 50,000 shillings in my M-Pesa? That is such a delightful experience. Next year, I'll be the first one filing tax on 1st of January. Why? Because it's delightful. It is predictive. It takes away the thinking from me. But we can do that in tax refunds, but we can do that as well in reducing tax fraud. Yeah. And in alerting customers on what their obligation is and working out, noting that, or maybe their cash flow is not great this time. And you say, we note that cash flow might not be great this time. This is a payment plan that works for you. And that's what data does for you. It enables make very concise, but very delightful decisions for the customer. And this time, the customer being the people who are paying taxes. And collaboration, I've mentioned this, is an organization, including KRA, will not be able to do this by themselves. You need to be able to do it with other people. And Denmark has done this very well. Data matching, trust, and comprehensive taxpayer education is the most important one, because awareness and education is the biggest incumbent to tax payments. Not everybody wants to run away from tax. Sometimes they just don't know what their obligation is. How do you ensure that you're working with partners, not just in the collection, but also in the awareness and filing in a very user-friendly manner. And as much as I said that I don't want to work in a cyber cafe and file my taxes, what if you took advantage of those guys who help people file taxes as you appoint people in increasing tax awareness? What if? And that is the question I leave for you in terms of partnership. It's about thinking outside the box. So with all of this, what would after implementing this, what we were asking ourselves, so what, okay, we've done this, what would success look like for KRA if there was a both in and outward digital transformation? I like starting with staff, engaged and committed staff. In every organization, there are those 30% people who work for the rest of the 70%. If you have a team that believes in the mission and they're feeling that they are doing a greater good, they're not being shouted at home by their neighbors that, oh, you KRA people, they'll be more engaged and committed and be proud to be working for KRA. Yeah. Increase customer satisfaction. As we have seen, if we were to use some of those numbers, I tried as much as possible not to do an NPS score. It was just getting sentiments. Is how do we make people happy? More innovative and inclusive products. How do we become inclusive? Can we file taxes on SMS or USSD? Can we make very simple forms that somebody can actually be able to file in on a very simple mobile phone, seeing the number of the amount of internet penetration in our country? And finally, higher compliance means higher revenue. And I heard somebody was talking about the targets that you had for last year. And it's easy to get if the customer feels right, even just a percentage of the customer feels right to be able to file their taxes. Thank you very much. I'm hoping it was provocative enough, but also informative enough for those of you who didn't know. My name is Shiko Gitau. You can contact us on hello@kala.com, and you can contact me on Twitter at Dr. Shiko. Thank you. Thank you very much. Back to you. In the studio, editing studio.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shiko, for that very informative public lecture. I had my pen and paper just writing and trying to catch up with everything that you shared. One thing I caught is the human-centered approach, and I put out an acronym for myself. In fact, not an acronym, a mnemonic for myself, and I called it the double STID, which is simple, secure, transparent, inclusive, and delightful. I hope I got it right, Dr. Shiko, and thank you very much. Even in terms of just engaging with our audiences and just getting to know where we are at in terms of customer centricity and where our systems are in terms of public perception and audience perception. And thank you to our audiences for even just engaging in the Mentimeter, because then it gives us, it may not be very empirical, but it gives us, some sort of direction of where we are in terms of the feedback of what we're doing from an audience perspective. So asante sana, Dr. Shiko. And I want to give this this opportunity to my leadership here at the Kenya Revenue Authority. You've had Dr. Shiko, you've had the tenets she shared, the research she shared with us, the challenge she's put out for us. I'm just wondering, I know this was not part of the script, so this was just me throwing a curveball, but perhaps maybe from the leadership especially, maybe you've had something that you want us to reflect further on, you'd want to give a comment. We can give you this opportunity to share a thought or two if you have any. You can either switch on your mic or raise your hand and we can unmute you. Just as a reflection of Dr. Shiko's lecture, is there anybody? Okay. All right. So we'll take it that we've had and we're going to reflect further on this. So thank you very much, Dr. Shiko. We really appreciate. We hope you could share with us your presentation and we can be able to share with our delightful, let me use your words, delightful delegates who are joining us. I understand we're almost 1,000 on this Zoom call. And so I think it's one of those presentations you just want to later on just sit and just reflect, ruminate around, and just see, what's the way forward. In fact, it comes at a very good time when we are developing as a Kenya Revenue Authority our next corporate plan for the next block of years. And so this will help us in terms of the alignment of our thinking, etc. Ashvin Panpara says this was a very good presentation. Thank you very much as well for just going. Nicholas Gashara says that this is an excellent presentation. Njoroge says, yes, partnership on the ground with cyber and other private citizens with a better understanding to support the older generation. I think we leave Dr. Shiko in a very interesting dispensation where there are those of us who are digital immigrants, and then there are those of us who are digital natives. And so just sort of blending them in the same space to be able to have technology serve both of us so that we're not leaving the immigrants behind as we try and catch up with the natives who are born with a phone in their hand. The rest of us were born with a letter and a feather and a pen and paper, writing letters. Maybe your last thought around that. How do we balance out the digital immigrants and the digital natives in the same space as a tax administration so that we leave no one behind?
Again, it goes to one of our key, what is it called? Our key principles, and that is being inclusive. And inclusivity means understanding your customer and meeting them where they are, yeah? And that means building products that are very dumb for digital natives. Every time I tell somebody, somebody who is a native to use USSD, they look at me, why are you making me old? There's somebody who actually told me that. But there are people who will die with USSD, making it super simple, easy. But also by sending them support. There are things that will not be able to make easy. Let's be honest, because technology has moved really, really far. There are things that will not be made easy. But how do we increase awareness and provide support? Again, it's getting outside the box and going to the chief's camp in Rumuruti, yes, and saying, we are here to show you a few things. If you're unable to do it, this young person here who can speak your language is able to help you. But going where they are, because sometimes we send blanket messages, we do radio, and we assume everybody is listening to Kameme FM, but somebody is busy also digging their farm. They are not going to be doing Kameme FM. Yeah, it's how do you make this very easy? And I always take the agriculture extension people are the best example of how do you meet people where they are. Yeah, they have all these influencers online making agriculture sexy and meeting and having WhatsApp and what is it called, and Facebook groups with 100,000 people. But also they have people on the ground who are actually teaching people how to apply the fertilizer that the government has given in a proper way. Why not KRA doing that? Remember, it's both digital. Digital transformation is not just about technology. It's about people at the center of it. Human beings are the center of the transformation.
I really like that in terms of the human person at the center of the transformation. I think this is a conversation that can go on and on and on, because already digital has come to disrupt our lives. It's disrupted how we live. It's disrupted how we purchase. It's disrupted how we go to school. I mean, thanks to COVID, we realized we can actually do online schooling even without having to have budgeted for that. So the digital age has surely come to disrupt our lives, and it's not stopping. It's relenting. Like, we who are the immigrants just have to sort of hobnob and find ourselves in that ship and just, sort of find ourselves there. But I like what you said. It's all about inclusivity. The double STID, simple, secure, transparent, inclusive, and delightful. Before I let you go, Dr. Shiko, allow me to give you a few feedback from the delightful delegates. Let me just read for you. Now they're going. So Caroline says this session was quite informative, and it is aligned to the insights that were shared by Mr. Sudhamo yesterday. Now, Mr. Sudhamo is the Commissioner General or Director General for the Mauritius Revenue Authority, and he was with us here yesterday sharing the Mauritius experience. So thank you, Caroline. It's great to see that you are making those connections and connecting the dots. Jared is asking for the QR code. I think now Jared wants now to sit down nicely and participate in the Mentimeter now nicely, as now he's seen the questions so that you can respond nicely. So if you don't mind, you can put it in the Q&A box and the code can be seen and participants can be able to participate. Margaret Karanja says this was very insightful. McDonald Mwema says, well done, Shiko. This was very insightful as well. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Maybe one last comment from Isaac Holman. Governance is problem affecting majority of institutions in the country at large towards the meeting its mandate. What are the procedures in place to deal with the problem? Okay, we'll have an SME respond to you. But a lot of feedback coming for you, Dr. Shiko. Thank you for your time. Thank you for just going out of your way to come and reposition our thinking in terms of how we as a revenue administration can align ourselves with the digital information age so that we are not really playing catch up with the taxpayer, and neither are we being left behind, but we are moving in tandem with the sync and the lifestyle of the taxpayer. So asante sana, Dr. Shiko.
Before you go, there is one thing I missed out on the slide, and we need to be cognizant of this, even as a revenue authority, is that Africa is a continent of 19-year-olds.
Okay, break that down for me.
They're 19-year-olds, like the average age in Kenya, and Kenya is a little bit old. I think we are 21, but most of the continent is 19. This is at the blink of like being an adult, being able to be a taxpayer. What is it? You're asking, how do you understand your user? Is you start with that average and say, what are the characteristics of this young person and how do we meet them? Yeah. And then you look at who are the other people around them, how their parents, how can they influence their parents? How can they influence their siblings? And as you're doing this, remember that in another, we'll be double, Kenya, we grow by 1 million each year, but we'll be going by 1.5 million in another couple of years. By 2050, what will be the population of Kenya and on the continent? We need to start thinking forward-looking more than backward-looking. So even as we're doing this transformation, we need to understand the attitude and mindsets of the people that we are serving. And because I feel like KRA needs to be able to be seen as a servant of the people, not an extractor, is how do we change that perception and the mindset of the people? Thank you very much. And there are a couple of hands up I saw, but I think time is out.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me see. I mean, I can take one. I checked and I didn't see. So let me see. No, I can't see. Okay. That's fine. It's all right because time is really not on our end, and we need to really move to the next session. But thank you very much. Perhaps maybe in future we'll have another moment to just ruminate on this particular subject, so that we can be able to, we are progressing. I believe as KRA, that's who we are. We are a listening organization. We're told, today you guys have not dressed well, go back and dress better. So, we go back, we try and dress better, we come back to the public. So we are changing. We're like the Titanic, huge. One day we'll get there. And that's why we like the partnership. I like that you mentioned partnership, because we grow through partnerships, just getting feedback, what we can do better, what we're doing great, and how we can improve our system. So thank you very much, Dr. Shiko. And it's great as well to just have you. Esteemed delegates, we now want to move to the final session of our 9th annual tax summit, which is a closing ceremony. In just a few moments, we shall be moving to the closing ceremony. Just a kind reminder to us all is that all the papers that have been presented by our keynote address speakers and any panelists who's presented a paper to us, we shall be uploading them on summit.kra.go.ke. That's the email, that's a website address you need to remember, summit.kra.go.ke. And also remember that KRA is rolling out the tax amnesty program. Have you taken the opportunity, just in case you have penalties and interests that are due, but you've already paid your principal tax for periods up to 31st December 2022. So take advantage of the tax amnesty that's been rolled out for the next 8 or so months. It ends 30th June 2024. Please visit kra.go.ke for more information. All right, we shall transition now to the closing ceremony, and then we call our tax summit a wrap. Remember, this is paid for by your taxes.
Usistress. Introducing eTIMS, a simple, affordable and convenient software solution. Unaweza access eTIMS kwa phone yako, comp au tablet. Na eTIMS utagenerate invoices zako na QR code na kuhakikishia customers wako receipt zako ni valid. eTIMS iko na solutions for business of all sizes na ina generate receipt online haraka bila hassle kibao. Sign up for eTIMS leo. Visit the KRA website, kra.go.ke, and download the eTIMS commitment form and fill it. Visit the eTIMS portal, etims.kra.go.ke, to sign up and select your preferred software option or device. Next, maafisa wa KRA wataprocess application yako. Alafu, wataschedule a date and time ya kuinstall eTIMS na training base yako ya biz. Chagua eTIMS. Simple, convenient, and flexible. For more
amnesty program for penalties and interests accrued as of December 31st, 2022. From September 1, 2023, just this month, to June 30th next year, you will have the opportunity to settle only the principal tax amount of outstanding tax debts incurred before January 1, 2023, as we are waiving penalties and interests over the 9-month period. It is very important for me to make this statement for the public. I know we have had a robust two-way conversation on what do we do with taxes that have penalties, that have accrued interest. We are now making an offer to our taxpayers who are trapped or struggling with interest, with accrued penalties, that you now have an opportunity to just pay the principal. And I expect that the tax-paying public will take advantage, especially those who are trapped in the space I am talking about. This initiative alleviates financial burdens and aligns with our commitment to a fair and inclusive economy. Taxpayers with principal tax debts incurred before 1st January 2023 can therefore take advantage of this opportunity. The amnesty program assists taxpayers facing financial challenges related to unpaid taxes, thus fostering economic growth and inclusivity by all Kenyan citizens.
With all the tax information that you need. I am your host, Alan Madoka. Now, in this episode, we are going to talk about a marvel in technological advancements in tax administration. And that advancement in tax administration is called the Electronic Tax Invoice Management System, otherwise known as ETIMS. I'm sure you've heard about it before and have always wanted to know more. So as always, I bring the experts to you and to the comfort of wherever you're viewing us from to tell us more. And today we're joined by Andrew Momanyi. Andrew is from the Tax Invoice Management System Operations Office, which is part of the Domestic Taxes Department of Kenya Revenue Authority. Thanks so much for joining us today, Andrew, on Tubonge Tax.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the word TIMS and ETIMS. What wamesikia? Okay, maybe TIMS more than ETIMS, but the word is out there. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty and what the advantages of one or the other are, KRA recently implemented TIMS, and kindly, what is the difference between TIMS and ETIMS, so that we can get that clarification out of the window?
Thank you for that. I think that's a good point to start with. And you realize that with TIMS, it was an earlier device-based approach where KRA rolled out devices or tax registers, which was supposed to be integrated with taxpayers' invoice systems. Now with eTeams, this is a phase 2 of Teams, where now KRA has rolled out various software options. And these software options are available as a complementary system to Teams to be able to offer our taxpayers an alternative solution at no additional cost to them. So with eTeams, it focuses more on the software solutions, and Teams focuses more on the device-based approach, which is being supported by our ETR-approved suppliers.
Okay. So eTeams is a purely software-based system.
Yes.
There's no hardware involved when it comes to eTeams.
The only hardware that will be involved is the hardware which is available for use by the taxpayers. It could be gadgets, such like tablets,
Right.
Laptops, computers, and such like. And then we also have system-to-system integration, where those who are using software billing systems or invoicing systems can be able to integrate directly with KRA, either by themselves, if they have the internal capacity to do that, or with third-party vendors will be approved by the Revenue Authority.
Okay. So I guess that's like huge supermarkets and the like.
Yes, those who are doing bulk invoicing, yes.
All right. Now, speaking of those customers, who is the target for eTeams, and what was lacking in terms of compliance with VAT that will be addressed through this new system called eTeams?
So you realize that we had a mandatory end period for Teams, which was expiring on 30th of November 2022.
Okay.
And by 1st of December of 2022, all VAT registered taxpayers were supposed to generate compliant tax invoices. So after the mandatory period, approximately around 65% of the taxpayers had come on board. And this necessitated KRA to relook and see what are the issues that the rest of the 35% were facing for them not to comply with the regulations.
Right.
And among the issues was cost implication of the devices.
Yes, the ETR machines.
Yes, we received a lot of that. We also had challenges with people integrating the devices with their invoicing systems, because some of them are using international invoicing systems. We also had scenarios where some people could not complete the purchase of these devices. And there were others who were preferring a software solution.
Okay.
So with that, then KRA had some retrospective and decided to actually come up with the phase 2 to be able to cater for this segment. So eTeams is specifically targeted for those who are not onboarded on Teams, the device-based approach.
Yes.
By either they did not purchase the devices because of the cost. Number 2, they're having challenges integrating with their invoicing systems. Number 3, there are those people who are doing bulk invoicing, that the devices had performance issues. We also have that category of persons who use invoicing billing systems, and they would prefer a system-to-system integration directly with KRA.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you've spoken of time and you spoke of November 2022. Does this mean that KRA, Kenya Revenue Authority, is phasing out Teams?
No. We are not phasing out Teams. And as I had mentioned before, eTeams is only a complementary system under this phase.
Right.
To make sure that we are able to offer an additional option for the taxpayers to comply with the regulations, in that they have an alternative way of transferring their invoices to the Revenue Authority upon generation. So this is a complementary system to support or to supplement the Teams which is already rolled out.
Okay. And maybe to pique the interest of the taxpayers, what would be the revenue projection you sort of KRA feels that it would garner from eTeams?
Yes, you realize that KRA currently has been given a target of approximately 3 trillion. And to be able to actually achieve that, some of the transformations that have to be undertaken are like in the VAT.
Right.
And KRA intends to grow VAT by approximately 35% with this solution, because we'll be able to bring on board those who are not able to comply in the earlier tax invoice management system, since they will have a complementary system of actually complying and being able to send their invoices, generate invoices and send to KRA in real time.
Okay. Now, before I let you go, Andrew, I think we've garnered a lot from this particular topic. How many subscribers, how many taxpayers did you have subscribed to the TIM system that is being phased out per se, and for lack of a better word, and the new eTIM system?
Initially, when we started off with the teams,
Right.
we had a target of 106,000 active VAT taxpayers. You know, you realize that with the VAT register, this implementation has given KRA an edge to be able to clean its VAT register.
Yes.
By making sure that we are able to identify those active in VAT and those who are dormant.
Okay.
So we had an active taxpayer base of 106,000, and the number has grown to around maybe 120, 140,000.
Okay.
So we have a balance of around 60 to 70,000 of taxpayers that we wish to bring on board eTIMs.
Right.
And we still run teams for those who had already onboarded teams to just make sure that the two systems can work together for this phase until otherwise.
Okay. Now, maybe before I let you go, Andrew, is there anything that maybe you'd like to add that taxpayers should know about this system? Like, the benefits. I know you mentioned a few, for example, ease of use. It's a software-based solution, maybe reduced cost. Maybe just give viewers who are watching, the taxpayers who are watching, just the key insights of the benefits of this eTIM, so that when they hear it, they already know about it and they know the benefits that they will garner from it.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I think one thing that taxpayers should learn is that KRA is a caring authority. It heard your voices, and it's able to bring you a simple and convenient system in that you're able to use the different gadgets or devices that is available to you at no additional cost. So this means that if you are a person out there with no invoicing system and no way of generating invoices, then KRA has a solution that you can be able to use as your invoicing system, which will also act as your tax register, in that it will be able to actually transmit this information or invoice details to KRA on real-time basis. And for those who are experiencing challenges with integration of the device-based approach, then we also have a way in which we can be able to integrate your invoicing solutions or systems with KRA. Okay. And for also those who were having challenges with cost of purchase of devices, then this would be a great opportunity for you to comply, to be able to generate valid invoices, because we intend to actually simplify the VAT administration by having a simplified VAT return process.
Right.
Where you details will be pre-filled, and this will only be achieved through an electronic means, where all invoices are being transmitted to the Revenue Authority on real-time basis.
Okay, and I guess, as I say, the future is with technology. Why do things harder when there's already solutions out there to ease it for both the tax administration and the taxpayers as well?
Most definitely.
Yes.
Because we've had scenarios where people have been asking that they need more options apart from the device-based approach.
Yes.
Now we add them, and we have the two approaches,
right,
which will suit the various businesses that are out there, and also the future. Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us on Tubonge Tax, and thank you for enlightening the viewers out there on this new system that is eTIMs. And I guess as the project now rolls out further, we'll invite you back to maybe get some more clarifications or more insights into this system.
Most definitely.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And as you've heard it from Andrew himself, it's ease of use, reduced costs, verification, all in one platform. So did you know that KRA has rolled out eTIMs that is simple, convenient, and flexible with 100% claim guaranteed? Why don't you take advantage of eTIMs and reach out to any KRA office for sign up? I've been your host, Alan Madoka, on Tubonge Tax, and we hope to see you next time. And stay safe. Bye.
Thank Thank you very much, Alan Madoka, for that interview with Mr. Mumanyi around eTIMS. Very informative, and I'm glad that Dr. Shiko of Hala saw that podcast, that we as KRA are progressing, reaching out to both digital immigrants and digital natives with the tax education, conversation, and information. Delightful delegates. We have come to the penultimate of our 9th annual tax summit. What a great time it has been. A time of reflection, a time of being challenged, a time of developing new roadmaps, a time of great discussions and discourse, a time of ruminating, ideating, co-creating on how we can position ourselves as the tax administration for tomorrow. Our theme has been turning the real, building a resilient and progressive tax system. I believe we have turned the real somewhat to some degree. I believe we've had a lot of conversation and thought-provoking discourse around how we can be resilient, we can be productive, predictable rather, and be stable. This delightful, let me just use the word delightful delegates now that I have learned a new word today. We are now just ready for the closing ceremony that will be moderated by our Commissioner General of the Kenya Revenue Authority, and also receive remarks from our chairman. And then we will call this a wonderful close. And as our Commissioner General readies himself, allow me to take this opportunity to thank each one of you. I understand today we were at 1,000 delegates. One more time, you stuck with us yesterday, you started with us, you ended the day with us, you woke up with us again, and now we are here for the 10 o'clock tea as we finish up the 9th annual tax summit. I believe it was worth your time with us. So thank you, delegates from across, whether you're from KRA, from different revenue administrations, from our development partners, from various organizations, wherever you're from, please take our greetings back. And thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Thank you as well to the KRA leadership for sponsoring this annual tax summit, from our board to our senior management as well. Thank you to the tax summit committee that put together this committee. It wouldn't have been what it is without your support. So thank you very much. We are now ready to go into the closing ceremony, a reflection and a summit recap of our journey that began yesterday. Kilicho na mwanzo lazima kiwe na mwisho. And now we have reached the end. But it's the end of the summit, not the end of the conversation. It is now my delightful honor and privilege to bring on to us the man who began our summit yesterday. He is here to close it for us, the Commissioner General of the Kenya Revenue Authority, Mr. Humphrey Watanga. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Distinguished panelists and discussants, KRA board chairman and board members present, KRA senior leadership, delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's my pleasure to join you again as we conclude the 2023 Annual Tax Summit. As we are aware, the summit was aptly themed, Turning the Real, Building a Resilient and Progressive Tax System from the Bottom. During the session, many speakers reiterated the need to develop policies that will create a tax system that is certain and predictable. This will enable the system to be resilient to economic shocks, broaden the tax base, and enhance tax compliance. A good tax system will also improve morale, which will subsequently inspire fairness, transparency, and accountability, and it will enable simplicity and ease of tax compliance among taxpayers. I sincerely thank the panelists for the great ideas and recommendations they shared during the sessions. I also thank the delegates for taking time to engage with one another in significant topics. I acknowledge the recommendations made during the deliberations on a wide range of issues revolving around the emerging trends in matters taxation. Key among these recommendations is the need to revolutionize digital transactions to increase the tax base by monitoring the electronic register. We agree that digitization is essential for enhanced accuracy and efficiency in revenue collection. At KRA, we continue to leverage on the power of technology to be a tech-driven tax administrator. You have also highlighted risks of relying on enforcement measures to enhance tax compliance, as this can lead to hostility that ends up encouraging non-compliance. Tax administration should therefore advocate to establish feedback mechanisms to develop mutual trust, certainty, and ease of paying taxes. The discussants also agreed that tax morale helped to create a voluntary compliance culture. This is a culture that can also be established through facilitation of taxpayers and a customer-centric approach. Taxpayer education and seamless communication will also be key for tax administrations to earn trust. We all agree that the micro, small, and medium sector has a huge tax potential. We should therefore adopt a collaborative approach towards formalization, aggregation, capacity building, and offering affordable financing to enable the sector to contribute optimally towards the country's economic agenda. We have also taken note of your recommendation to consider simplification of tax regimes, reduction of exemptions, and to develop pro-investment incentives. KRA has introduced simplified tax regimes through the Finance Act 2023. The authority will continue establishing structures to make tax paying simple and convenient. We should and shall endeavor to revitalize our partnership with the National Treasury to focus on production so that revenue collection is on autopilot and stakeholder confidence in tax payment is improved. You also recommended regular reviewing and revision of tax laws to promote predictability and accountability of the tax system. KRA will continue working with the National Treasury to develop policies aimed at creating a conducive environment for business to grow. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, tech-driven tax administration is the only route to simplifying tax administration. We must be attuned to this new way, incorporating third-party partners, emphasizing co-creation, and understanding the customer needs so that we remain competitive and responsive as a tax administrator. I believe that these strategies, when implemented, will set Kenya's and Africa's tax systems on the right path to facilitating domestic resource mobilization and self-sufficiency for our continent. We commit to this sacred call. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, it is my pleasure to now officially close the 9th Annual Tax Summit. But before that, I'll give an opportunity to Chairman KRA to make his closing remarks. Thank you.
Our stakeholders present, our distinguished guests, directors, Kenya Revenue Authority Board, Commissioner General, KRA, KRA staff present, ladies and gentlemen. I am glad to join you again as we come to a close of the 2023 Annual Tax Summit. Indeed, we have had robust discussions on divergent tax issues and well-thought conversations, which made the two-day summit captivating to the audience. The points of discussion and proposals coming out of this summit will be compiled and subjected to further scrutiny by the Kenya Revenue Authority researchers, with a view to considering them to inform the national tax policy in future. This and other many issues which come out of the two-day discourse just underlines the importance of this annual tax summit, even as we work towards becoming a globally trusted revenue agency facilitating tax and customs compliance. I sincerely thank the panelists for the great ideas and recommendations they shared during the sessions. I also thank the delegates for taking time to engage with one another in such significant topics concerning taxation in this country. On behalf of the KRA leadership, I wish also to acknowledge and thank the organizers of the Tax Summit. Your organizational prowess is not in vain. To our stakeholders and all the invited guests, I reiterate KRA's commitment in engaging you and listening to your views and proposals. We thank you all for making time to attend this year's Tax Summit, and until we meet again in the next edition, I wish you all the best.